Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Why don't you write when you don't need money, honey? That would certainly make a hit.
Welcome back to Word Docs. I'm Dr. Amy Matthews, and I'm here today with Dr. Alex Vickery-Howe.
Hello.
And Dr. Sean Williams.
Hello.
Oh, see, that's the sane response.
You say that, but also a cup of tea or hot chocolate or whatever it is seemed to just appear out of nowhere
It did,
as he
didn't
did
it?
that. Yeah, I didn't know he had it.
Like magic.
Yeah, I've been keeping it a secret from you. Just so you can all hear me slurp.
If it had been a bunny, I would have been really excited. I would have gone, what an amazing magic trick.
Oh, if only you'd said. It wasn't a bunny. It was my D&D dice set.
Just kind of a sad magic trick in some ways.
Hard to know where to go from there, isn't it, Amy?
Yeah, I've kind of been lost for words. All right. While Alex sips his scotch and Coke, Sean sips his hot chocolate. Today we thought we were thinking about topics because we've lost our notebook that contained all the topics we might talk about.
We're so well organised.
You're revealing too much.
Probably packed away at my house or Alex's house or Sean's because everyone's undergoing renovations and it's all chaos. So you may hear jackhammers, you may hear Alex's dad pootling past with the lawnmower. You might hear any old thing.
Or his blower.
I
The
hate
blower.
blowers. They should be outlawed.
The mower or
Anyway.
the blower?
So we were trying to find a topic, which was probably not blowers.
Yeah, let's rant about blowers for half an hour. Somebody needs to write a
It's
book about
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Look, we'll get a lot of mail.
They
People will
care.
write in.
There's a hot button issue right there. We started looking around for questions people ask authors, and they're usually terrible. Like the number one we've done before is, where do you get your ideas from?
And then how much do you make? That's one you get asked a lot by kids.
Yeah.
Are you rich?
More than you.
No.
Except some of them probably invent apps and are worth a fortune, right? Like they're way more savvy than we are. Anyway, we found a couple of questions we quite liked. And the first one I liked was, have you ever been on a literary pilgrimage and where to? And I thought I might follow that up with, is there one that you'd like to do as well? Is there one you haven't done that you'd like to do? So first question, have you ever been on a literary pilgrimage to somewhere that you've like fantasized about? Let's make it broader than books too. Maybe because Alex is a screenwriter and playwright. Is there anywhere that from a film as well?
You know, any death-dealing factory or plague-making laboratory or villain training school that may have fed into
I
your
know.
apocalyptic fiction?
There was a website, I forget what it was called, that did estimate the net worth of people. And I was somehow on this
what?
web. I don't know why I'm on some of these things I pop up on, because I suspect it's because the IMDb has my birthday. That means that, like,
I'm
you end up
looking
on
this up while you're
like all the
talking.
numerology. This website, I think, is now gone, I believe. A student also found like a Alex Vickery-Howe nude photos thing, but it wasn't
Amy, can
me.
you
There
look that
wasn't
up
any
too?
photos.
We'll post it to socials when this episode comes out.
But the placeholder was there. But one of them was a net worth thing, and I was apparently worth like a few $1 million. I'm like, what kind of bizarre, faulty algorithm was behind
The
that?
other Alex Vickery.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah, there must be someone else out there far more interesting. Anyway, nevertheless, pilgrimages. Well, I went to Japan in 2006 prior to writing the Japanese rock musical. And it was partly a research trip. Well, partly like a kind of get to know the producer trip, like meet the producer, who was his name is Shimiyama-san, who was a very, it's really hard to say. I mean, we spoke through a translator. He seemed to me to be a very warm Japanese man who wanted to have lunches and just talk about the world and talk about stories. He seemed, I think I had this idea of like this terrifying man with a samurai sword in his hand, but he seemed very, very gentle when I met him. So that was part one of the trip. But part two of the trip was just exist in Japan for a few weeks. Just, walk around the city, and it's so stupidly naive. I've got a diary from that time where I say that if you want to get to know a city, you just walk around, which was true in Sydney, right? Like you could just walk around and that's the harbour and that's Surrey Hills and blah, blah, blah. You can't do that in Japan. You walk around and you just find more city. So I spent like a few days just kind of started in Ikebukuro and just walking around lost and having random encounters with random Japanese people that I couldn't really communicate with, because the thing about Japan, of course, is that a white guy is, it's probably one of the only places, or very few places in the world where being a white male marks you as othered. You know, there aren't many places where that would be true. Not only marked as othered, but as kind of exotic and weird and alien, like really, particularly if you go to like rural Okinawa, where suddenly you realise you go to a restaurant and everyone's openly staring at you like you've dropped in from a spaceship, you know.
But that's you, Alex.
Had you showered?
It could just be me. You're right. I'm looking for identity markers. Had I showered? Yes. Well, you know, I passed out in a bathhouse, so yes, I had.
I think that needs explaining.
I haven't heard this story.
Have I not told this story on Word Docs before?
It's not canon unless it's been on Word Docs.
Okay, so I'll tell another story quickly. Then I'll circle back to that. I met this elderly man on the way to the train station.
There's always a train.
It's always a train.
Who started speaking to me, very elderly, like I'm sure he was in his 80s or 90s, just started speaking to me, you know, why are you here, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm writing a play. And as I got to the train station, he said, thank you very much. I haven't spoken English since the Second World War, and I just wanted to know if I still could.
Wow.
And then the last thing he said to me was, isn't it wonderful that you're here to tell stories and not
to kill me?
You know, not to kill me.
So then you push him in front of the train. And
Alex said, you haven't read my play yet. It might all come true.
Yeah. It'll all come out. But that was a kind of a goosebumpy moment. You know, it was a wintry day and you sort of felt this kind of bizarre, I don't know, kismet or sense of history or something. But the bathhouse story, and I'm surprised I haven't told this story on this show, I met a producer named Michiko who was a friend of a friend, and she said, I think it was after I'd been wandering around by myself for quite a while, I needed someone to be my guide. And Michiko very kindly said, oh, well, I know people you know. I speak English. You know, I'm a producer. We can hang out together. She was lovely. She was probably at the time in her 60s, but she looked, I remember saying to her over dinner at one point, I said, oh, you must be like 49, 50. She's like, I am 62 or something like that. Like, you know, Japanese people really don't seem to age. And we went to see a few plays and looked at tourist spots and so on. And finally she said, I think you should go to a bathhouse, go to an onsen. And I went, I don't want to do that, Michiko. And she's like, well, you need to, you know, your goal here is to immerse yourself into Japanese culture. You must go to the onsen. In fact, I'm dropping you off there, and that, you know, I will not see you again for another half hour. And I went, oh, okay.
Force me to have a bath. I don't know. What a terrible chore.
It's like...
She's meanwhile has spent like 3 days going, he really smells. How do I get him clean?
It may well have been that.
Just for the record, Alex does not smell.
Well, we can't smell
I think
him.
that he does bathe regularly. Actually, Alex, this is the real reason why we're recording apart. We didn't want to say, we just blamed COVID.
It's the odour. So she dropped me off at the bathhouse, and I'd been a beacon of otherness for quite a long time. And suddenly I'm like, I'm going to be a beacon for naked otherness. Like, this is
all white men will be judged by me.
Yes, this is all bad. So I was very uncomfortable, exceedingly uncomfortable.
You don't even like massages, and now you're being bathed.
Yeah, I'm actually to this day quite surprised I did this. This is very out of character. So the way it works, for anyone who doesn't know, is that you there are baths, indoor like spa baths basically, but you have to go to a shower first before you go into the baths because they're communal.
It's very civilized.
That's as far as I got. I'm in the shower. I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is some kind of hell realm I'm in. And what I evidently did, although I didn't know it at the time, is I fainted, smashed my head on the tap.
Oh, Alex. Were you naked at this point?
Butt naked. Collapsed on the ground. But I woke up quite disoriented. I had no idea where I was, what was going on.
Were you surrounded by Japanese people pointing and laughing?
I literally woke up looking up at a circle of naked Japanese men staring down at me in Japanese men, absolutely horrified because the Westerner had fainted in their bathhouse. And I didn't know where I was, who I was, what was going on. I realized I was in a pool of blood very quickly. They, I think, lifted me up and carried me out to the locker room.
On their shoulders, like a tribute for sacrifice?
More or less, I think, like a coffin at a funeral. And then they lowered me down and gave me a kimono, right, like a robe. At that point, I started to realize where I was again, and I started to find it very funny. I'd gotten over my initial freak out, but I'm surrounded by all the others are still naked, talking to each other in Japanese, and are absolutely horrified. And the man who appeared to be the leader of this bathhouse was
The leader of this bar, like it's a war group. Like you're in a platoon.
he had tattoos all down his sleeve and his back. Yes. Now, if you have tattoos in Japan, generally you're not allowed in a bathhouse. So, because the tattoos in Japan generally, if they're dragons and so on, denote or connote.
More whiskey.
Canute.
More whiskey. They indicate that you are a member of the Yakuza. You're a gangster.
Right. So you were in a gangster bathhouse.
I don't know if this man was a gangster, but I will say this. He was the only one who spoke any English at all. And he looked at me very seriously and he said, you fell, so bad. And I thought, yeah, this man's been around injuries. He knows. So he took control of the whole thing. And then I was just about to say, look, I'll get dressed and get out of here when I heard the ambulance siren.
Oh.
And at that moment, a bunch of women ran in. I don't know why the ambos were all women. The majority of them were women, wearing like COVID masks too, because I think all the ambulance people there were.
You were a biohazard, Alex, at this point. You're pumping blood from your head. You're covered in red and naked.
They come running in, and so the men at that point freak out and start reaching for little towels. They only had little towels. And so you had all these Japanese men with little towels and all these nurses. And then the head nurse, who was a man, and I'll never forget this, walked up to me and said, I don't speak English, but hello. And they patched me up and I got back to Michiko's. I'd only been gone for about 10, 15 minutes. And I actually went to the wrong apartment before Michiko and encountered a very frightened elderly couple because I was bandaged up like John Cleese at this point. And so they just had a white guy on their doorstep, probably looked like an escapee from an asylum. Then finally Michiko opened her door and I remember her just going, what? What? They left you alone for 10 minutes? Anyway, that was my pilgrimage.
So in future, there will be fans of yours who are going to do a literary pilgrimage and they'll be like, right, I have to go to this bathhouse naked
to
and
Shinjuku.
faint.
I don't know what the bathhouse is called. It was in Shinjuku, I think.
This is the Alex Vickery How Tap right here. Here's the dent in the tile.
The next day, I felt so bad because I thought, this is so awful. It's embarrassing for me, but it's also like, I think they felt that a Western visitor had not had a good time in their bathhouse. So I went back with a little fuzzy koala dog because I brought a bunch to Japan.
To apologise for fainting and bleeding.
To apologise and to say I was okay. And the owner came running out and I hadn't met him the night before, but he was so relieved. And through Michiko said to me, I'm so glad you're okay. And I, gave him the doll and he bowed 3 times. And so that was my pilgrimage to Japan.
Do you know, I think Alex didn't recover from that head wound and he's still in a coma right now.
That's right. This is all a fantasy invented us.
Everything that's happened since.
Dreaming being stuck in Port Elliot with his parents, dreaming the Word docs.
Giant hallucination.
Well, while you were talking, I did look up your IMBD profile. Apparently,
my birthday's there.
It's got your star sign and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what. So once your birthday's there, which I don't know how that's there. Once that's happened, then you do turn up on other things.
Oh, there you go.
What is Alex's star sign? Are we compatible?
He's Cancerian.
I'm a Cancer.
Oh, that's it.
Cancerian.
What are you, Sean?
I'm a Gemini, Taurus, but mainly Gemini.
Oh, he's split in 2. That's why he writes about twins.
Yeah, twin makers. I'm a Scorpio.
Well, we're a volatile bunch. Bloody hell.
We are, aren't we?
So, okay, top that. Top that story, guys.
I went to Antarctica.
Yeah, that does top that, actually, in one sentence.
I went to Antarctica and got sunburnt. No head wounds, no nothing.
Can you see the scars still? Seriously, I have one Harry Potter scar down my forehead. And I had
yeah,
another one.
bit.
Listeners, can you see Alex's scar?
Yeah.
I had a really good one, like Spike, on my eyebrow, and it faded. I was so disappointed.
It's not too late. We could do it again.
You could shave it in. I'll tell you what, I was in Bath and did the Jane Austen tour, right?
That's where it starts.
Yeah. Talking Bath. But it's really funny because you're like, there's one where you go to the Jane Austen's house, to the Jane Austen Museum, and you get in there and then they're like, we actually don't know if this was her house. She might have stayed in.
Really?
They're all like that, right? It would have been something like this, and then they've got like these gowns, like this little it's like, probably not Jane Austen's dress. It's like the whole thing is this kind of like, it could be. It's like, well, I could do that. Yeah. We could have one here, right? We could have like a Banjo Patterson museum. It's like, this could be his house. hat. Might be.
There'll be onsen all over Japan saying, this is where Alex Vickery how banged his head.
This is it.
Or somewhere
it's on
like this.
IMDb. It must be true. But that was pretty bizarre.
It is bizarre. A whole industry of maybes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The industry of maybes. That sounds a bit like being a science fiction writer. Ah.
There you go. Write that down. There's an article for you right there. Copyrighted. He's got it. Well, where would you like to go on a literary pilgrimage? Like, you've just read Moby Dick in the last 12 months. Alex, do you want to go whaling?
Get on a ship. Well, you know I've been kidnapped by pirates already
That's
anyway.
true.
So,
Is there anywhere you'd like to go?
Well, there are different kinds of pilgrimages. Let's just rewind a little bit because I think there's the creative pilgrimage where you go somewhere to get a sense of the place, and that might be might be Antarctica or it might be Japan. But I think it's also professional pilgrimages. And Alex's trip to Japan sounds like a bit of both. You went there to meet producers, but you also went there to get a sense of the place.
which somewhere like Japan, you have to go there. There's no way you can do it.
That's right.
Any other
and
way.
Same with Antarctica. But I've gone on professional pilgrimages like to LA. I mean, LA is an interesting place to visit in its own right because it's such a whole speckled with interesting things. But it's a great place if you want to be in the film industry or do anything. You've got to go there to meet people and do the talk and all that kind of stuff. And same with London.
We've interpreted this differently because I was thinking about going to places from books.
Oh.
I was thinking about this question completely differently.
I see.
I didn't explain that very well, did I?
Well, there's different kind of permeations of that. But there's also the other one, just to complicate it further, when you go somewhere that becomes like I spent a day in London walking around Hyde Park. And from there decided I wanted to write about Peter Pan. Because the Peter Pan statue's there, and then you go to Speaker's Corner. And I had some interesting people that I met. It was just a day of walking around that area.
London also, if you fly in at night, you can't help but think of Peter Pan, the way that it's laid out with the lights.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do. And so there was something about being there that was an unintentional pilgrimage, I suppose.
When I was living in Ireland too, I had no intention of using it as source for a novel, but I did just because I was there, soaking up the texture. Well, that's interesting, Amy, because there are places I would like to go as literally, to explore places that I've loved from books. So
Narnia.
Narnia would be pretty amazing.
I'd like to live in LA in a
No,
borough.
I wouldn't like to live in LA. I didn't love LA.
No, you'd endure LA.
I could live in any big city if you say, I'm just going to live in this neighbourhood. And I think that's how you survive in a big city, is you say, even Sydney to some extent, it's like that. You go, this is my corner of Sydney. Like my friend Caleb lived in Bondi. And Bondi is big enough. Like Bondi Junction's like Rundle Mall. Sean's shaking his head.
I couldn't live in Bondi, but I could live in Strawberry Hills or somewhere like that.
Bondi's too hot for you,
Too hot and
right?
too full of people and too beachy and sharks.
But they can't get you in your apartment, especially if you're on the third floor.
They say that.
Land sharks, Alex. What about the land sharks?
I think there was a film I saw once called Sand Sharks. That was... that was special.
Sharknado.
So pilgrimages from books. I think in that way, weirdly, my favourite word, I'd actually like to kind of go to that kind of like on a Nordic noir tour.
Oh, wow.
Like
that
a wintry kind of, maybe commit a crime while I'm there and really get into the spirit of it.
I went to Copenhagen, speaking of Nordic crime, the bridge.
Oh, what's he about to do? What did you do?
There's that bridge between Sweden and...
It's there, yes.
We were right there and didn't go across the bridge. And I feel like I've betrayed myself because that's the ultimate kind of Scandi fan's dream, to drive across that bridge. I didn't do it. What a fool.
See, Copenhagen can go either way because you could be like doing a whole Danny Kaye, Hans Christian Andersen vibe, or it can be the Nordic noir vibe, or you can do both.
It's all about genre, isn't it? Which genre are you in? Are you in the Technicolor musical or are you in the noir?
Both.
Nothing worse than when you think you're in a Technicolor musical and then, someone shoots you.
That's basically my life. Just have dance around and someone shoots me.
Amy, what about your pilgrimages?
Oh, I'm trying to think. New York, I love New York. I've read about that so many times. And when last time we were there wandering around Central Park and having that moment of like, that's the carousel from Catcher in the Rye. And Jono was like, I'm not going on it. Like, I'm like, yes, you are. We are totally, and I have a photo.
Why wouldn't he go on it? He's got a sense of whimsy.
Maybe not about that kind of stuff. I don't know. He just thought it was stupid.
Draws the line at plastic horses. That's Johnny's line.
Did make him go on it. I have a photo of me looking very happy and him kind of looking a bit disgruntled.
Really?
Excellent.
Wow.
Frame it.
I don't know. Anywhere. I would go anywhere, really. I think most places are I could find a literary. I'd like to go to the West, obviously. Like, I've been to LA, but I write Westerns, but I've never been like to Oregon or to Missouri.
I could do a whole City Slickers. Imagine the three of us doing City Slickers.
Amazing. Who's who?
Word Doc's Road Trip.
Yes.
Which one? Who's Bruno Kirby? Who's
Billy Crystal.
who's Daniel Stern? Who's
I don't want to be Daniel Stern, but I suspect I am.
I haven't seen the films.
he might be Bruno Kirby.
Sean can be, who's the Jack Palance?
Oh, you could.
He can be the old cowboy.
The old grouch.
No, he has a heart of gold.
Does
Heart
he?
of gold. He has a heart of gold. And then, Amy, you can be, is it Helen Slater, who was Supergirl?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Isn't she in there? Am I making that up
She is
completely?
in that. She's a bit wet, though. She's just a girl.
She's a bit wet. I think actually the female characters let that one down a bit, actually.
like most of the 80s.
You could do a good remake of that. You could do a really good remake of City Slickers where one of them was a woman, or all three are women.
I don't know. I'm a bit over these remakes. Let's just write new things.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of them rebooting everything.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, just go write new things. Hire writers and then let them use their imaginations and do new things.
Yep.
Oh, hire writers. That's an interesting concept.
Hang on. You're talking about paying writers.
Yes.
What is this foreign concept?
Paying writers for their work?
That'll upset the entire industry.
Turn the apple cart over and boil it. So another thought, because this is something Sean and I have been talking about, and I've sort of done it in other things I've written as well, is turning your own environment into a place that people might want to do a pilgrimage to.
Yeah. Port Elliot, watch out.
Port Elliot, yeah, right?
That bowls club. You said a photo of you and your mum at the bowls club. That's quite
Yeah,
vivid in
the
my...
bowl is getting really competitive just by the by. Like, it's getting serious.
See, there's a great story.
Poisoning someone because they won.
There's a great noir, like you talk about the Nordic noirs, you could totally do a South Australian noir down at the Port Elliot Bowls Club.
Yeah.
But Adelaide as an environment does fascinate me.
Yeah,
I do,
me too.
because I think it is a strange place.
Absolutely
Yeah.
is. I tried to sell a TV show a few years ago called Dead Heart or Red Heart or something like that, which had the three major town settings would have been Adelaide and Alice Springs and Darwin, right up the centre of Australia, and points in between, because I think we never see Darwin enough in TV and we hardly ever
it's
see
true.
Alice Springs. And Adelaide has such a gruesome history. But there's also Kimberpedi and Woomera and
Right,
Catherine.
if you
and-
introduce the train, if you have the GAN, Alex is there.
Yeah.
Once there's a train.
Yeah,
we
weird
will
shit
have-
happens on trains, man.
That's right. Oh, but he'll get picked up by some Scientologist's daughter or something, won't he? There's
He
some.
will.
Have I told you the Punchy story about my weirdest train story is the Punchy story? I might save it for
No.
another episode.
Oh, you can't do that now.
Alex,
Like,
you've got
just-
3 minutes to tell the story.
I'll very quickly tell the Punchy story because you want to talk about pilgrimages. Okay, so Alex had to meet a script editor. Oh, where was it? Very far out in New South Wales. And it ended up me living in a nursing home, not a functional nursing
nursing
home,
home.
but an old nursing home with this dramaturg, script editor and his wife. And, these are things that only happen to me that I somehow end up in the middle of nowhere. And he was very nice.
'Cause
She was very
Most
nice.
people have a radar where they're like, this is a bit weird. Gonna stop
He had a
now.
bit of a Christopher Lee vibe too, and he had a library, and it was all kind of like, am I in Dracula? But I kind of had a good time. I really enjoyed being with him. He had a cat called Mario that had a sort of moustache, and a Dalmatian called Tripper.
Alex is totally in a coma. This is confirming my theory.
This is not real.
On the way back, so I've been there for a while. On the way back, it's quite a long train ride, easily more than an hour, probably 2. You got to go on the special concourse. You don't go from the normal station. You got to go to the special concourse. Anyway, on the way back,
Concourse 3.5.
Exactly. This young woman gets on the train and she's looking at me and she goes, "Hey, my name's Punchy because I like to punch people."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, Hi, Punchy. How you doing? Yeah, I'm good. I just got a new tongue ring. Can't wait to test it out, eh? And I'm like, oh man, Punchy's not okay. Punchy's not doing well. So we're chatting and she eventually tells me she's running away from her boyfriend and she's going to sleep on the beach that night. And I'm saying, well, I don't think you should be doing that, Punchy. I think that's a bad idea. I said, look, is your boyfriend okay? Is he abusive, or is it just that you've had a bit of an argument? Because there's a very different story there. And she said, no, my boyfriend's fine. I'm just a bit sick of him. And, I said, well, that's a bit different. Like, maybe you should work it out. And then it turns out he's following the train in his car.
Oh, my.
And he's trying to ring her. So she's got a voicemail going and it says, you have just received a call from, fucking pick up, Punchy.
I can see you talking to this guy. I hope you're not telling him about the tongue ring or whatever it was.
Her tongue ring was clearly infected, by the way. we're heading back, and we pass, I think it's called Blacktown, and there's the Blacktown Asylum. And I said, the Blacktown Asylum, writer brain's going, the Blacktown Asylum sounds exciting. And she goes, yeah, but that stupid dumb fuck of a doctor leaves the door open all the time. So I got out. I'm like, punchy. Eventually persuaded her to go back to her boyfriend.
Do you ever wonder if these things really happen, Sean, or if maybe
it totally happened?
He's like, in his writer brain imagining stuff, and it's like he's talking to invisible people.
Yeah, and I think it speaks volumes as to the genre that he imagines. Like, if you were Alex, Amy, you'd be meeting all these girls on the train.
Oh, it'd be Fred Astaire would be wandering, and he'd be like having a dance.
It'd be lovely. They'd be singing.
There'd be romances. You might go for a horseback ride. It'd be fantastic. But Alex, it's always they're insane or Scientologists.
Escaped lunatics.
I got punchy off the train and reunited her. I didn't reunite her with her boyfriend, but he was at the train station. And it seemed like
happy ending.
They hugged. It seemed really lovely. And I thought, well, there's my good deed for the day. Then a homeless dude comes and sits next to me, and he'd clearly shat himself.
The end.
And that was the last hour of that.
When you originally said, I'm going to tell you the punchy story, I thought you meant you were going to tell one that was short, sharp, and to the point.
Yeah.
Not a weird, rambling thing about how you're a weird magnet.
I am a magnet for this, though, aren't I? What is it about me that makes this stuff happen?
You talk back when they talk to you. You're interested. You're like, okay, tell me more about the crazy.
That is the mistake.
Some people inch away. You're like, yes, okay, what's this? Tell me about that time. Would you like to come?
Oh, I hit the microphone again.
Alex keeps headbutting the microphone, everyone. If there's blood, paramedics may come. There will be no naked Japanese men.
There will be nudity.
I'm going to wrap up here. I had more questions, so we need to do another question one.
Good idea.
I have lots more questions, so we only got through one.
I may have derailed it.
Alex, stop getting us off track.
We're at the end of the line, boys. End of the line.
That's the trifecta right there.
All right, we really are, though. I need to wrap it up. I got that question off a site called BookFox, so thanks to BookFox. And there are some other questions on that website. If anyone wants to look up interesting questions to ask writers, because we do often get, where do you get your ideas from and how much do you earn?
You're just giving away the source of our next 12 episodes, though.
But these were cool. I would be happy being asked these questions. And there's a lot more literary pilgrimages we could think about. Anyway, thanks for joining us. It's our second week back for the new year. We're really glad to be back with you all. We're getting slightly more energetic as the weeks go on. Mm-hmm. By next week, we may be hyper again. Alex may stop headbutting the microphone. Stay tuned. He may. But thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll see you guys next week.
Great hosting, Amy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely to see you guys.
Alex, you can host next.
Great guesting. Great guesting.
Well done,
Some good guesting there. Yeah, enjoyed that. What's our new slogan? Here's the whiskey. Is that our new slogan?
And they lived happily ever after.
That's it. And they lived happily ever after.
Although we might change it to end of the line.
End of the line.
Or, no, I think it should just be end of line, as in Tron. That's a bit sinister, isn't it? No. Bottoms up, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
See ya.
Why don't you write when you don't need money? All your notes sound alike too much. All of them start with I love you, honey, but they end with the same old touch. Just for a change, send a nice loving letter and cut out that please remit. Why don't you write when you don't need money, honey? That would certainly make a hit.
I think that either the atom bomb or the blower are the worst two inventions of mankind.
Blower just destroys serenity.
What question do you think we should do? Train journeys I have taken. I reckon that's a whole podcast series.
Yeah.
Just with you.
You hear my mother?
Now it's like a Hitchcock film now. Can you hear my mother?
He wouldn't hurt a fly. I'll just check because Mao's about to start mowing. I'll just make sure. I'll just check in on Mum. Hang on, one sec.
Right. Alex is now leaving the room.
Alex has left the building, so we can talk about Alex behind his back. So, Alex, how long do you... Amanda, sorry. What's your name? Amy.
This is where we're at this January.
How long do you think
anyone.
Alex is going to last in the house? How long do you think?
Hi.
Oh, he's coming back quick.
Hello.
Hello, he's back.
Oh.
Yay.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, what caused that?
The blower. The blower ruptured space-time.
And then I had Dad saying hello just in the other room as well, just to add to it, just to annoy me.
You must get bored when you're retired, and half the fun of having kids is torturing them.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure he's doing that blower just to annoy me too. I think that was deliberate.
He just wants your attention, Alex.
24/7.
He's like a child.
He is much more like a child. Oh, I tell you what, we were playing board games. Caleb was here for a few days and he was bringing his board games. And we played Sons of Anarchy, the board game, with Mao and Jeanette. Dad was running a Chinese triad. I was running an African-American gang. Caleb was some horrible white supremacist group, and Mum was the Mexicans. And straight off the bat, she shot everybody. Bang, bang, we were gone. No one made any money.
Hey, what's Caleb's surname?
Lewis.
I want to see if he actually exists.
Yeah, so do I. Hey, did you notice that Caleb Lewis is an anagram of Alex Vickery? Oh, no.
It's hard to get an anagram of Alex's name.
Oh, no, I'm going to do that now. So here are some anagrams for Alex Vickery Howe. Archive Weekly Ox. Creakily Hex Wove. Wackier Holy Vex.
Oh, that one's good. That one's you, Wacky Vex.
Oh, removed.
Pretty good.
Yak Helix.
Yak Helix. Oh, there's your gamer name there, Yak Helix.
Oh. Wax Rove Cheekily. Back when Rove was famous, that might have been a good one.
Forgotten about Rove.
I know.
You do disappear quickly, don't you?
Okay, so what's that topic?
Did we find one while I was mucking around, or?
Yeah, Sean asked about right when you were going hello, hello, hello. Sean was saying, "What about you and sex scenes, Alex? Do you write sex scenes?" And you were going hello, hello, hello.
That's what he's like on trains. Hello, hello,
hello, and in bathhouses.
Still hasn't had sex.
Yeah, I don't know if I could get a half hour out of it, but
there you go.
As the bishop said to the actress.
I mean, we can talk about. Now the cockle train's coming past.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.